Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to have you all join us in celebration of National Travel and Tourism Week. We have a wonderful group of panelists joining today to talk about all the great things that are happening in the St. Louis region right now from a tourism perspective. National Travel and Tourism Week was created by Congress many decades ago, and it has been celebrated by the travel and tourism industry every May at the kind of the start of the summer travel season, as kids are getting out of school and families are planning summer trips and vacations. And it's a way to, in St. Louis, what we use it for is a way to try to educate our local community about all the things that there are for them to do right here. And at Explore St. Louis, our marketing efforts are always out of market. Our messaging is never in market, but at National Travel and Tourism Week, we turn our attention in market because we have all of these great things for people to do, and it's a great way to kick it off and remind everybody of that. This particular program was originally scheduled to have two different phases. The first was to happen in April in New York with a group of media at a Danny Meyer restaurant over lunch, kind of a repeat of the program that we did a little more than 2 years ago in New York that was focused on food, where we took all of our James Beard award-winning chefs or our James Beard nominated chefs, and we did a program with all of the food media in New York and the travel media as well, talking about the food scene here in St. Louis. And so we had planned a kind of a repeat or a phase 2 of that program by doing a development showcase, taking people who are doing great things in the travel and tourism space in our community in New York and inviting the media to that program. That program obviously had to be canceled, but it will be rescheduled for later in the year. And we look forward to doing it then. We had also planned then to do just exactly what we're doing now, which was to repeat that program during National Travel and Tourism Week. The difference is that the program was supposed to be held at Ballpark Village, which of course is not able to welcome us today. And so we are doing this virtually, but we're very much looking forward to being able to walk in the doors of Ballpark Village in the very near future. And I think, maybe we'll hear a little bit more about that and the plans for that today in this program. And we're also waiting for our elected officials to give us some dates. So we have an extraordinary group of people here today. I just want to tell you who you have. Hopefully you can see them on the screen. We have Carolyn Betz from MLS for the Loews. We have Dr. Jeffrey Bonner from the St. Louis Zoo. We have Bill DeWitt III from the St. Louis Cardinals. We have Bob O'Loughlin from Lodging Hospitality Management. We have Geneya Sauro from Live by Loews. We have Steve Smith from the Lawrence Group, and I'm your moderator, Kitty Ratcliffe. So it's a wonderful group, and they're all doing great things for our community, and we're looking forward to hearing from them today. So the format for the program is that we're going to ask each one of them to give you a 2 to 3 minute overview of what's happening with their projects right now, and kind of a succinct overview. And then we're going to ask each one of them some questions and get some good feedback from them about some different things going on with their projects and what they see for St. Louis going forward. And I'm going to ask each one of them to do this kind of in the order that they were introduced. So we're going to start with Carolyn Betz and ask Carolyn to give us some of the highlights of what's happening with your with the Major League Soccer team and the stadium that you have under construction. Carolyn?
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So I can't really say it's business as usual, but I think it's more business as best as it can be. So right now, everything is going great with the stadium. We have a safe site. Our partners are great in having a very rigorous check-in. Make sure everybody's feeling good, making sure that they take their temperature. So things are moving along very well. So we're excited about that. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we adhere to the government and health official regulations And we're so excited to see the progress being made. Behind the scenes, we've been working with MLS to really go ahead and hone in on the team name, crests, and colors. So we're super, super excited for the time when it's right to be able to share all that with you. In the meantime, we're also starting to get sort of our staffing model ready to go. And hopefully we'll have a couple new teammates to introduce to everyone in the next couple of months. So thank you again for all the support. We're just really, really excited to be able to bring some really new and exciting fun stuff here in the coming months.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. I look forward to talking with you about some of the questions that we have for you a little bit later in the program. Now I want to turn to Dr. Jeffrey Bonner. Jeff, would you give us an overview of all the things that you're doing at the zoo?
Well, first, thanks for having me on. Thanks to everybody that's watching. This is, you know, honestly, this is the darkest days in the zoo's 110-year history. It's the 52nd day that we've been closed, and that's never happened before. So that's difficult, but the animals are in great health. We're looking forward to reopening. We just pulled together our reopening team. We're genuinely excited. We have some advantages that a lot of other institutions don't have. We have a huge amount of acreage, over 500,000 square feet of paved space, 9.96 miles of trails, and we can seat about 1,200 outdoors with proper spacing. So, you know, when we reopen, I think we're going to be in good shape. And when we look to the future, we've got a wonderful new exhibit coming online in 2021 that I think will be the nicest thing we've ever did. So, you know, it's difficult. It's hard right now. It's kind of eerie to be walking out there and not have it filled with people. I never thought I'd miss them this much, but I think the future is very bright for us. And we're really excited about reopening. I think we're in a really good place.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. I want to turn to Bill DeWitt III. Bill?
Thanks, Kitty, and welcome everybody. Well, the Cardinals, like all sports teams, are on hold, hoping for some sort of a season. A note about that, MLB is working to really try to salvage the second half, followed by playoffs. I think the strategy right now is to try to come up with a schedule that would work in a way that the players could play safely without fans. And then we kind of pray for a miracle and hope to be able to introduce fans at some point later in the season. But the game plan would be preparing for the worst, which is no fans at all the whole time. And a lot of work to do, but our fingers are crossed that we'll pull something like that off. But I think this group would also like to hear about Ballpark Village, which is our development adjacent to the stadium on the site of the old ballpark. And it's right next to the new one. And, you know, we just are putting the finishing touches on the second phase, which is a close to $300 million project. It's a hotel, which you'll learn more about from Geneya, led by Loews. We have an office tower with 120,000 square feet, parking underneath. We have a health club building that also has retail below. And we have an apartment tower that's just getting topped off right now and getting finished up, which will have about 300 units of rental. And the whole project has a bunch of retail and restaurants as well. Our first phase has been complete now for about 7 or 8 years and has gone very well. So we're just primed and ready to go. Like Jeff, it's a little eerie walking through right now with the beautiful spring days and just a few people walking by, but we had plans for much more activity and energy hitting the streets here in downtown St. Louis. And of course, we know we will when things get lifted and we get back to normal. So we're all primed, ready to go, and looking forward to, you know, all of these businesses cranking back up again soon.
Yeah, as are we all. Thank you for that really good overview. Bob O'Loughlin, Lodging Hospitality Management. What are you doing, Bob?
Not much right now, Kitty, but we were very excited about all of our projects, Westport Plaza, Hilton at the Ballpark, Cheshire, and Union Station, where we spent $200 million to create a 600-room hotel, 150,000 square feet of meeting and exhibit space, and then opened on December 25th, a family entertainment complex that included a wheel and carousel, miniature golf, bars, restaurants, and an aquarium. And then unfortunately, due to the pandemic, March 16th closed everything down. But like everybody, we're very excited about reopening. We think, especially with what we've gone through over the last 2 months, I think a lot of people will want to come down and get out in the fresh air and enjoy our complex. And we've got a lot of protocol in to make it as safe can be. So we're excited about reopening.
As are we. Geneya Sauro, General Manager for Live by Loews Hotel. What can you give in terms of an overview, Geneya?
Sure, yes. Well, thank you very much for having me this morning. It's a thrill to be here. Well, as Bill mentioned, we opened the hotel here at the end of February. A very exciting time, obviously, for us to enter the community as a brand. We've been looking forward to it for some time, along with our partnership with both the Cardinals and with Ballpark Village. And then, of course, as we all know, we have what happened in the current health situation around the world. And so we too are now temporarily suspended our operation here at the hotel in late March. So we are diligently working with local officials, with local organizations as a brand across the country, with national organizations, and just really trying to keep a pulse on what's happening, not only with the virus itself, but obviously in the ways that we can keep both our team members and our guests safe when travel resumes and begins to resume across the country. So we're continuing to evaluate every day. We're very anxious to reopen. As you can imagine, we only had a very brief amount of time to introduce ourselves to the community, and so we're very much looking forward to continuing that effort as soon as we can. And then hopefully, as things start to open up locally with sports, entertainment, and travel in general, we'll continue to be able to let everybody know who we are.
I hope so, because we're very excited to have you open, and we want to see you open again.
Yes.
Steve Smith, the Lawrence Group. Can you give us an overview of your projects?
Sure, Kitty, thank you very much. So City Foundry is located right in the heart of St. Louis's innovation community, roughly halfway between Ballpark Village and our new soccer stadium to our east, and the zoo and everything in Forest Park to our west. And surrounding us is all of the innovation communities of St. Louis. And so we thought of City Foundry as striving to be the public face of innovation. And so what we have striven to do is have unique chefs, St. Louis chefs with innovative ideas and innovative food concepts, unique and innovative retailers, interesting entertainment companies, and then we have innovation businesses all wrapped into this physical facility that I think is really like none other, a very unusual and we think fun physical environment called City Foundry. We hope to be opening very shortly. We'll tell you more about that in a minute.
I drive by it all the time. I can hardly wait to have it open. Well, thank you very much to all our panelists for giving you a quick overview. We're going to go into some questions and answers, and we've got a lot of work to do on this, and we're really looking forward to doing it over the next hour and 15 minutes. I'd like to start with both Bob O'Loughlin and Dr. Jeffrey Bonner, because the two of you with the zoo and the aquarium, both of those attractions appeal to a family market. And I suspect that somewhere along the way, somebody said to one or both of you that the new aquarium was going to be a competitor to the zoo. And I'm betting that your relationship might be a little different than that. Care to?
That is such a silly notion. As I said before, Bob and I started working together on the aquarium, but it was just a glint in his eye. And we've tried to do all we can to help. Really, he hasn't needed much. He's had the best people in the world, literally the best people in the world, working on that. So we're excited about having it. We think it's going to increase our attendance. I'm not sure that that's the real reason for our excitement. I think what it does is benefit St. Louis, and clearly anything that benefits St. Louis benefits the zoo. So we're going to get a direct bump from it. But I think more importantly, it's going to be the tide that raises all the boats, and that's really exciting for us.
I'd have to add to that, Jeffrey runs, in my opinion, the best zoo in the world, and the people at the zoo have been immeasurable to help us out in launching the aquarium. And I look at not just an aquarium, and we scoured literally the country and the world before we endeavored into this, and that many aquariums are sitting by themselves. We look at what we've done at Union Station to get the rich history of the train station and everything that went on down there, but to have the wheel, the carousel, the miniature golf, ropes course as family entertainment. And I truly believe with everybody on the screen here that the more we can add in St. Louis, the more people will come to St. Louis and the more activities. I definitely wanted to have family entertainment. Prior to us getting involved, they had adult entertainment, and I don't think you want to compete with Ballpark Village and the Cardinals. That the adult entertainment is great. I think what Steve's doing is very unique, and I think St. Louis will rival any city in the United States as far as things to do. Diverse, we're centrally located, and the cost of it is very reasonable. And I think once the word gets out and people come here, we'll just knock the heck out of Nashville, Indianapolis, and rival other cities. So I don't see us as competitors in any way, shape, or form.
Bob, so you touched on, in your opening, you touched a little bit about the fact that you were working on some protocols for reopening. You know, the attractions at Union Station were off to such a great start. Can you share some of your plans for reopening and how you're going to do that? Not
Yeah,
of course, but
yeah,
how?
happy to do that, Kitty. We, like a lot of people, got the infrared machine, I'll call it, that tests people for their temperature. We will take temperatures of people that go in there. We will have a card that they will have to look at and fill out to see whether did they travel from another country? Are they coughing? Did they have a fever? Our wheel holds comfortably 6 people, but typically has 4 people. So we'll only put families on it at a time, or 2 people. So those will be separate. We'll wipe them down after each trip on the wheel. We'll have spacing at the aquarium. We'll only open it with 25% and then build it up to 50%, and they'll be spaced out. The same thing with all of our bars and restaurants. So we have an extensive program that we put together that we feel people will feel safe. In addition to it, as Jeffrey, Bill, Carolyn, almost everybody on the screen, we're outside, and to fight off the virus, being outside, getting air, sunshine, I think that's where you want to be. You want to be in parks. You want to build up your immune system. This is like any virus. You have to build up your immune system. So we think we're in a good position to have people feel very, very safe about coming to our attraction.
Yeah, I've seen some of the work that you've done on the hotel side as well. We've got these working groups that have been working, and Steve O'Loughlin has shared those with me, and you've done a great job in trying to get ready to reopen. Dr. Bonner, you were not planning on opening the North St. Louis County project this year, but I'm wondering that, you've got very impressive plans for a new safari experience up there. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the status of that project and what's in store.
Well, we always said it would be 5 or 6 years before we got it open, and obviously this sets us back a little bit, not as much as you might think. It's a different kind of complex for us. At the zoo, you have islands of animals, and they're sort of surrounded by people. And up north in the North Campus, it's going to be completely the opposite. We're going to have knots of people that are completely surrounded by animals. So I think it's really exactly the opposite. and very much an open air environment. When we first started on North Campus, it was driven by really more the need to have our collections grow a little bit. We have so many species that are critically endangered, and if you start with a small number of species and you look out 50 years, there's a really decreased chance that you'll have them 50 years from now, and it's almost absolutely certain that you won't have the genetic diversity that you want. So this was driven by science. And then as we moved down the road, it became clear that we could do something really extraordinary for tourism. Right now, the zoo drives about 1.4 million tourists in a normal year. Obviously, it won't this year. And if we hold that same percentage up north, it's going to be a game changer for the northern part of our community. I'm always quick to point out that when we went for modest sales tax increase, we carried about 70% of the vote in Ferguson and in Florissant and Spanish Lake and Blackjack. And nobody votes for a sales tax increase at that level. So there is a high expectation, but I also think that we're going to deliver a great product. And we'll be able to do some things we could never do here. Things like glamping, which was a new term for me, glamorous camping. That's something that I think is going to be tremendous. We can do more stuff outside. We just couldn't do a lot of nature play here. We couldn't do a lot of the treetop adventure stuff that I think people are going to love. We can't do kayaking here. And so there's all sorts of things we can do there that we could never do here. And the accessibility there is tremendous. We're only 3.5 minutes off the interstate, off of 270. And it's hard to believe there's such beautiful property up there. It's just stunningly beautiful. It probably goes against everything everybody thinks about North County and all the preconceptions that they have. So excited, we're really excited. I think it's going to be 5 or 6 years. We've brought design in-house, and that's going to speed things up a little bit, but it can't come soon enough for us. We can't wait.
Well, I think it sounds like a wonderful attraction for our region as a whole, and specifically to North County. There's not been enough new development done in North County, so kudos to you for doing this. It's going to be a really welcome addition to those communities, and a really exciting project. So we look forward to seeing it when it gets done. We'll have to come back and have another panel discussion. Right. And revisit it when you actually get it open. We'll take the group on the road. Hey, Bob, I want to go back for a minute to your hotel product because we've talked to you mostly about the attractions. Lodging Hospitality has more St. Louis hotel rooms than any other ownership group, from the airport to North Park to Westport to Chesterfield to downtown. You're really throughout the entire region. Even though occupancies are in single digits right now, all of your properties are open. Not the case with all the properties in our region. So I want to make sure I have that right. All of your properties are open. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, Kitty.
And what's the reason for that decision?
We felt that we wanted to keep all of our properties open and all of our key people employed. And we paid everybody full salary through this thing. We feel that it's important to send a message to our employees and our guests that we remained open even though there was low occupancy, and that we were committed to our employees and our guests. And so that was the main reason that we kept all of our properties open and continue to pay everybody full salary.
That's amazing, absolutely amazing. So, it would be an understatement to tell you that we all know that the industry has been really shocked and rocked by this crisis. But, in that process, sometimes some good things come out. And we started having calls, initially calls and webinars with our various partners in different sectors, with restaurants and attractions and hotels and just kind of a catch-all group. And we were doing those 4 calls every week. And in the very first week, we were trying to figure out how to help the restaurants adapt to do carry out, takeaway, delivery service to keep open. And as we shared that information with our attractions on the attraction call and asked them what they were doing, we found that many of our attractions were stepping up to the plate by providing some really unique experiences for local St. Louisans and for visitors alike to enjoy. And so on our part, what we did was we aggregated those by creating a new program on our website called Virtual St. Louis. And so all of those are featured there now on Virtual St. Louis. I'm wondering, Jeff and Bob, if you can take us through some of the virtual experiences that you've created at the zoo or the aquarium.
Yeah, we came right out with hashtag bring the STL Zoo to you. And that helped a lot. We pivoted very quickly. So social media engagement has been really high for us. You know, the reach and the followers continue to grow. Our most popular social media post right now was weighing the penguins, and that had 6 million viewers on Facebook alone. So, you know, it's exploded for us. We're up anywhere between 200 and 900% for the different things we do. We went with a lot more live webcams than we've had in the past, and we have a lot of cameras on collections, but they're really more for research. So we've been able to repurpose a lot of that. Virtual learning has been big for us. Our education department pivoted pretty fast. So they've got a lot of programs online that reach members or the general audience. And I don't know, we did a Q&A about becoming a zookeeper, a do-it-yourself tutorial on how to make binoculars. My favorite was the chalk art. I've learned to draw an elephant. So that's been important to me. It's nice to get new talents through all of this. But I think if you go to our website, stlzoo.org, you'll see an awful lot of things coming out, and we're really happy that we've done that. I anticipate that we'll stay in that space for a long time to come. The virtual learning was something that long distance learning was something that we were always passionate about, but this has forced us to really step out, and that's a good thing. It really is a good thing in the long run.
And you never know when you could use the opportunity to draw an elephant. Hey, Bob, what have you been doing on virtual?
We've been doing a lot of things. We have a great team down at the aquarium to come up with some really creative stuff. Two of my favorites were we took 3 stray cats and turned them loose in the aquarium. And when they got up against the windows, the fish were coming up, they were interested, and the cats were trying to get at the fish, and it was really a clever piece. But last week we did the Turtle Derby down at the aquarium, which was just a real hoot and got a lot of people watching it, where we had 3 turtles and told about the backgrounds, how they were trained. Joe Buck did the play-by-play of the Turtle Derby, and we had a winner. We had somebody from the DEA come down to make sure they weren't on any steroids or anything, and it was a clean race. We had the national anthem sung by one of the aquarium folks, and you've got to look it up. It's on Facebook and YouTube. It's a real hoot. But we've had a lot of fun with the virtual stuff that we've done down there.
Well, I have not seen that one, although I did see the one with the 3 kittens. It was adorable. And I saw Jeff's penguin walk as well, so it made me laugh. You know, you both kind of referenced that these you may be keeping these. Do you envision that virtual experiences are going to be an essential part of leisure travel going forward?
I don't think there's ever going to be a substitute for the real thing. You know, that virtual experience can be fabulous, but in the end, people do want to see the real thing. But I think it's always going to be a good augmentation to what we do right now. And that's not a bad thing, really. I think what the difficult thing for all of us is anticipating what the post-COVID world looks like and what the new normal is. And I think things will be different. I think that you'll still love the zoo, but I think it's going to be a little bit different zoo than you see today.
Yeah, I agree with Jeff. I think they're great for promotional items to get people interested in coming to your attraction. But I think no matter what we do in the travel industry, whether it's meetings, conventions, sports, whatever, being there and interacting with people is just the DNA of our whole culture. And I don't think you'll ever be able to replace that. And the sooner we can get back to either a vaccine or how to get back to a more normal society. I think people are just starved to get out and interact with people, and I don't think we'll ever change that.
Yeah, I think we all agree on that, and we're all looking forward to that day. Thank you both. I'd like to shift gears now to both the Live by Loews Hotel and the Cardinals and the conversation about Ballpark Village. You know, one of the early highlights of 2020 was certainly the opening of the Live by Loews in Ballpark Village. And Geneya, I had the honor of participating in your opening with both Jonathan and Alex Tisch. The Loews brand is a really strong one nationally, and we are very excited that you've come into the St. Louis market. Can you talk to us a little bit about the Loews brand and what it stands for?
Sure, absolutely. Well, the Loews brand itself is really grounded in family heritage. We've been in business since, you know, earlier than 1960. We say 1960 is when we really started, but the family started it in summer camps even earlier than that. And so the Tisch family, led now by Jonathan Tisch on the hotel side, has been doing this for a very, very long time. We're very deliberate about how and when and where we put our hotels. There's a lot of thought that goes into that. We love to put ourselves into communities where we can really become part of the fabric of that community, community gathering places, hopefully located in parts of that community where there's a lot of excitement and energy. And so that's really what we tried to do here in St. Louis. And then obviously as part of that, as we grow, our partnerships become extremely important. And in this particular hotel, you know, we had the good fortune to partner with two other great companies that are very steeply in family with both the Cardinals and with the Cordish family at Ballpark Village. And so, you know, we're extremely excited to be here. The company is very proud of this hotel and how it really just the design and how everything turned out. And I think everyone felt that during the opening when they were here and were speaking about it themselves. But really at the end of the day, it's all about family. It's all about really genuinely delivering quality service to our guests and providing an experience that's really uniquely local to where the hotels reside.
Well, we have many hotels here in St. Louis, and that really, it provides a terrific package for multi-hotel group business like citywide conventions, and also provides many wonderful choices for the individual traveler. Can you talk to us about what some of the unique aspects of this hotel are that will make staying with you such an enjoyable experience?
Sure, I'd love to. Well, I think first and foremost, it's our location. I mean, there are lots of hotels downtown, obviously great hotels right here in our neighborhood that we're thrilled to be part of the community with. But I don't think you can get much closer than us to the Cardinal Stadium or to Ballpark Village. I'm sitting in our lobby right now looking directly across the street at Busch Stadium, which we're hoping very soon will have a lot more life in it. But the hotel itself is really very uniquely designed. I think the designers in the beginning stages realized that, you know, Cardinal Nation here is a very strong part of the community. And then of course with our partnership with the Cardinals, as you walk through the hotel, you see, you know, many, many very subtle nods to the history of the Cardinals, to just the beauty of the colors, the bright reds, championship blue. It's a very uniquely designed, if you will, sort of a sports themed hotel. It's very subtle. It's very intentional, and it's full of fun ways to discover. We joke all the time that we walk around and we figured out ways to develop, for example, a scavenger hunt for children, where really young Cardinal fans can have a lot of fun while they're staying here, finding unique ways that we embedded the Cardinals' history into the hotel. We have a whiskey room here in Clark and Bourbon, which has over 500 different types of whiskeys, which was only open for a very short time, so not many people got to really enjoy that. But within that whiskey room itself, you'll find things like some of the old Cardinal travel trunks are used as decor in there. And so just really fun and subtle ways that we've placed things. Our guest room tower has balconies on one side All of those balconies look directly out at Ballpark Village and their entertainment space. And so when the village is alive again with energy and people and entertainment, by far it'll be one of the best places to be to really witness that. As well as we have the live feed from the Cardinals stadium into the space, where we have a large large screen TV out on our outdoor terrace on the second floor. It's called the Bullock. It's not open yet. It'll be open to our first chance, but it's a very large outdoor space, which you can see pictured here on the screen, where you see in the lower right-hand corner. And it too looks directly out over that space and provides a very unique experience for sports and entertainment fans in general, but also the downtown community. We really hope that as downtown continues to develop, both with entertainment spaces and residential spaces like One Cardinal Way, that people will really start to be attracted to downtown again. Whether they're living here or visiting or staycationing or whatever the case may be, we really hope to be a part of that, as we're so centrally located to all of those great spaces.
Well, we're all looking forward to seeing that. It's just an extraordinary gift that has been given to our community by the collaboration between the DeWitt family, the Cordish family, and the Tisch family. One of the things that I know that you're wrestling with, Geneya, is that because you opened just before COVID-19 hit, all your team members were pretty new.
Right.
And all of our hotels and our other hospitality businesses, for that matter, are going to need some ramp up time to restart when people start traveling. How are you planning for that?
Yeah, that's a great point, Kitty. And it was really unfortunate, the timing. There's never a good time, obviously, but our team was just so new and just starting to really gel together and complete their training and really breathe life into this beautiful building. Obviously, we try to stay in touch with them as much as we can, as we're continuing to create the plan to bring them back. Our ramp up will be a long one, I think, in this industry, unfortunately. And so we're trying to figure out the best way to take care of the team, take care of our guests. I think we all know the hotel industry has always had a keen focus on cleanliness and safety, and that we pride ourselves on that. And so a lot of the processes that other businesses are trying to figure out for the first time, we've already been doing to an extent to take it to the next level and prepare for whatever the new normal really is. Obviously, we have an expectation of ourselves to provide an experience that surpasses whatever the guest expectations may be. And so our team is a very big part of that. And so we've been hosting conversations, not only, as you mentioned earlier, Kitty, with other industry executives in our communities, but also as a hotel company. We have them for every discipline in the company, and we do them often and talk about what we've learned and what we've seen and how we can implement those things here locally at our hotel specifically. And then obviously there's a great deal of training that has to happen. So, when we get to a place that we're ready to introduce ourselves again to the community, there will definitely be a time frame where we have to bring back our teams, make sure that they have proper training, that they have all of their questions asked and answered about their own safety, about what their new responsibilities are, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I was on a different call yesterday where somebody said, you need to stop saying it's the new normal, because nothing's normal. It's just the new now. And I thought that was right, because every day that there's a different now that we have to adjust to. So it sounds like you're really thinking that through. Bill, I'd like to turn to you and ask you what this edition of the hotel means to the overall Cardinal experience, and then also talk to us about the improvements at Ballpark Village in terms of, does this complete it when you get this open and done? I mean, the hotel is done, but when you get the rest of the things that you've got under construction right now, One Cardinal Way and other, is that it? Do you have other plans for us? What can you tell us?
Well, we don't really have a game plan yet for the phase 3, although we do have space for it, and we do have long range thinking about it. Obviously, we're trying to get phase 2 finished off. You can see that picture from last summer of the One Cardinal Way Tower. It's now topped off, and they're working on the interior spaces, and we should be having renters arrive and staying there in August, late July, early August. So phase 1 and phase 2 are basically complete, and there's 3 large blocks left if we want to keep going, which we obviously want to, and I think we want to get past COVID and everything else, get ramped up, and then look towards the 3rd phase, which could include perhaps more residential and maybe some office and retail, which would finish it off. But, you know, Ballpark Village is really something that we've been dreaming about for a long time, back when we were in the old Bush 2. And we knew that when we built the new one, there'd be this parcel of land. And so we designed the new Ballpark, Bush 3, we call it, to really look into it, as well as get those great arch views, which you can see on that picture. So it's a master planned ballpark and adjacent development, which is really one of the first that did that. Others have had developments crop up around them, like Wrigley and Fenway come to mind, but that was organic over the years. We really master planned this, and it sits right in the heart of, well, right on the edge of the CBD in St. Louis. And one of the things that you know, related to what Geneya was talking about with the hotel, is that St. Louis is very interesting in a tourism point of view, because you got to look at the geography. We're in the middle of the country. There are, if you drive, you know, a couple 100 miles in any direction, it's small towns. Eventually, you'll get to Kansas City on the west, Chicago to the north, and I guess maybe Nashville or Memphis south if you keep going. But we really have a large geographic area surrounding us of people who, it isn't densely populated, but there's a lot of people. It's a big market when you add it all up, and they view St. Louis as their big city. And so they come in, they travel on summer weekends, and they go to Cardinals games and the zoo and the aquarium and all these other great attractions we've been talking about. And it's what I think St. Louis has done a great job of is recognizing that that's such a big part of what makes the downtown tick. And so we've consolidated a lot of these attractions downtown. And if you think about it, just as a simple stat, the Cardinals are St. Louis, just if you look up the DMA, St. Louis region, DMA, I think we're 21st or so in the country, somewhere in that range, 22nd, 20th. And yet the Cardinals are 2nd in the league in attendance consistently behind LA. Think about that. How is that possible? Obviously, we have great fans in our core market of 2.7, 2.8 million people, but it's the regions around, it's the geography around us, and all those people that view St. Louis as their destination and as the city they identify with. That's our secret weapon in this tourism thing. And that's why hotels downtown do great, and all the way stacked up towards West County and East, Metro East as well, when we have events and bigger things in the summer. So I don't know if I got it directly what you're asking for, Katie, but I thought I'd talk a little bit about kind of how Cardinals and Ballpark Village fit into that larger picture of St. Louis tourism.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. And, you know, that's one of the reasons a lot of our leisure marketing is really focused on that 350-mile radius of St. Louis. And we saturate those television markets and internet with messaging about the things that there are to do in St. Louis, because you are absolutely right. We are their big city. And some of them have a choice of another big city. You know, those in the kind of the north to northeast outer ring have certainly have Chicago as a choice, but a lot of people in the small town markets, they're not comfortable in Chicago. They're very comfortable in St. Louis, and we have a very compact tourism experience, and they come here regularly. So all of these additions to that tourism product just help all of us. They come more frequently, they stay longer, and we love the fact, you know, from our marketing perspective to market the destination, we love the fact that we can tie into your broadcast opportunities both on radio and on television, to tell the entire St. Louis tourism experience story. So, so thanks for that too. It makes it very easy for us to reach a lot of people who are Cardinals fans in outer markets, and then also tell them about things like the zoo and the aquarium.
Absolutely. Too, radio and TV on Cardinal broadcast, reach, well, of course, KMOX famously 50,000 watt station, it was kind of the marquee station for years and years and years west of the Mississippi. The Cardinals were the first franchise. So that's a wonderful legacy of great broadcasters and how people got introduced to the sport. But on the TV side too, it's a 10-state region when you add it all up. So with different larger states, but also pieces of states that go very far out in a circle. So that's a big part of also why we've had that success bringing people in on for their vacations.
Yeah, and we're an affordable destination from a hotel perspective and from a food perspective, and so people grab their Cardinals tickets, they come and they stay for a weekend, and then they do many, many other things. So it's a wonderful part of what we can offer to visitors to St. Louis, and a hook to get them here. That's obviously not happening right now. Major League Baseball was one of the first leagues to postpone their season. And one of the hardest things for all of us about the crisis is not being able to enjoy a Cardinals game. It was really fun to see all those fans who wore Cardinal red and shared photos and videos online celebrating the virtual opening day. How did it feel for you to see that strong support? Can you take us through that experience?
Sure. It was, like surreal, as we've been talking. That word keeps coming up because it's just so different. But we know our fans are out there. Obviously, our social media engagements continued, and we've had great engagement there. And when we had the virtual opening day, all the pictures of fans just basically, they knew they couldn't come to the game, but they felt like they just had to show their support, put on the uniform or put on their jerseys. And the amount of social media tweets and stuff that came out was great. And we retweeted a lot of them. And it's just, we know it's there. We know it'll bounce back. We just kind of have to get to the other side and pray that it happens sooner than later. And I know this group on the panel, as well as some other great tourism destinations, the Arch, of course, City Museum, and many others that are consolidated, Forest Park in the Art Museum and the things adjacent to Jeff's Zoo. Wonderful attractions, all that can be sort of knocked out in a day or two for travelers in St. Louis. And obviously, we're excited to be a part of that list every year with the Cardinals and the consistency of it, and hopefully winning product on the field every year. But really, it's just great to be part of a family of attractions and everybody working together and rowing this in the same way. It's not a competitive thing. We all know it. We sort of lift the boat when we create a great destination, and everybody on this call, as well as many others, are working in that direction.
So when you reopen, and we're all speculating, and we've heard you reference the fact that you're probably reopening without fans. Can you talk a little bit about what you expect that experience to be, and how fans can support you during that time?
Well, yeah, it'll just be a TV experience. So all of us as sports fans probably have some combination of going to the park or the arena or whatever, and watching on TV, and it's sort of a continuum. But we, if we're just on TV until fans can come, that's what we'll be. And there's been talk about, should we pipe in like fake crowd noise or virtual fans or stuff like that. I'm not sure we'll get to that point, but it will be an odd product on TV, not what we're used to, but it'll be live, it'll be real, And people have said that, live sports is the ultimate reality TV because it just keeps reinventing itself. And that's what we're hoping a non-fan situation will be. And particularly for folks who still may not want to venture out, whether it's elderly or pre-existing type situations, and the virus is still lingering a little. So we know that live sports will re-engage everybody back and keep our sport at the forefront until we're ready to welcome everybody back to the ballpark.
And someday we're going to see what we see on the screen with all those fans. Someday we're going to see all those fans right back in.
It'll be sooner rather than later. I'm knocking on wood, but there are a lot of people working on this problem, and none of us. It's my first pandemic. I don't know about you guys, but it does feel like the magnitude of the problem and the number of smart people working on it ought to give us hope that we'll get to the other side of it soon.
We are all in that same hope phase of life right now. We've got a couple of other projects that we're going to talk to, but in just a moment, I'm going to break the program a little bit because I understand that we might have the Lieutenant Governor on the call, and we're trying to make sure that that he can actually talk and make sure that his microphone is working. So I'm just going to ask Lieutenant Governor Kehoe, are you on? I know he's on in listen mode. We were trying to unmute him.
Katie, stand by for a second. We're trying to do just that.
Okay. He's got session begins back at 10, so he's got to pop back in. But while we see if we can get his microphone live, I'll just tell all of you on the call that one of the roles for the Lieutenant Governor is to serve as the representative for the administration to the tourism industry. And he is on the Tourism Commission and has taken a very, very active role in tourism. He's always been a strong supporter of tourism. So we were really delighted when he became Lieutenant Governor because we knew he would have that role as a liaison through the tourism community. And he's been working really hard to help us through this crisis. Brian, do we have him?
Negative, Kitty. Just give me a second.
Mike, I know you can hear. The question is, can you speak?
If you can carry on, I'll let you know when we have him live.
All right, that's great because he's only got a few minutes. It's 5 to 10, and he's got to be back in the Senate at 10. But I know he's listening, and hopefully we'll work this out. If he's not able to speak, I just want to say thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for your support of tourism at this time when the tourism industry is really in crisis and needs you, and appreciate how much you've stepped up. I want to turn our attention to a project that is very visibly under construction right now to any one of us in St. Louis who are going to and from the downtown area, and also to visitors and people just passing through the community who are traveling along Interstate 64, because there's a lot of dirt being moved, and that is a good symbol of the excitement that this community has about the MLS for the Lou. If 2019 proved anything, last year proved anything, it's that St. Louis is a great city for sports. And we are very excited to have Carolyn Betz here from MLS for the Lou to talk about that newest edition of professional sports in St. Louis. Carolyn, as I said, we've been watching the dirt move around. Can we assume that everything is moving along as planned?
Yes, you can. Everything is moving along as planned. We've been very, very lucky that we have a safe site We have great partners that are doing everything they can to make sure that they're taking care of themselves and their coworkers. Certainly the city has been a good partner with making sure that we're aware and we can follow the restrictions and the suggestions from the health department. And so we're certainly very, very excited. And it's surreal. I mean, it's sort of, as Bill said, it's surreal. I mean, it's 2 years in the making, and now we're watching things move quickly, lots and lots of dirt being taken off the site and shuttled around for us to really start working on that groundbreaking. So it's a very exciting time for us.
Well, we all know that St. Louis is a great soccer city with rich traditions that go back to 1950. From Harry Kehoe, all the way to today with Becky Sauerbrunn. Our history has really been strong and it's been celebrated. We've had that, and that alone has never been enough to win us an MLS team in the past. I personally think that it was the women's ownership group that did it. What do you think?
Honestly, I think it was part of it. If you look at the overall picture, the St. Louis market has some amazing, amazing fans in sports in general, but especially around soccer. But you had these two great families that came together, deep ties in the community, deep ties business, deep ties philanthropy. And when we presented to the MLS, they couldn't say no. I mean, you had local families, multi-generational, really looking to do something for the greater good of the community, but also in a way to bring soccer to St. Louis. And what we have started to see is that the MLS has a lot of teams, of course, but we sort of we filled in that footprint for the Midwest. So just as Bill was talking about, 6 hours, any direction, here's another professional sports team. It's great for rivalries, both in MLS and baseball and potentially hockey. And the things that we could offer, we're one of the only clubs, I think internationally, that can have the stadium and the practice facility within the same footprint. And so being able to provide such a unique offering, I think they just couldn't say no. And it's been so much fun to watch other clubs and other owners get excited. Certainly Kansas City, we can't wait to get this going. Cincinnati, Chicago. But again, it's all within a drive. Fans, supporters can go back and forth. But at the end of the day, it really was the fans and the support that we have received the last 2 years. There's just no way to describe it other than, heartwarming, heartfelt, but also truly unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch, and especially everybody wearing the scarves. Just really excited about it. This project was dead for a while. And then MLS for the Lou began again. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that started and how we've gotten to this point?
Sure. It was, really my family was sort of looking for what was the next big project. And the more we started asking around, you kept hearing soccer. We need a soccer team. We need a soccer team. And so I chuckle because none of us played soccer. None of us really we might have watched soccer, but it wasn't like it was in our DNA to own a soccer team. But what we found was it's such a great sport to bring communities together. It's an international sport. So as we recruit companies, certainly to go down into Steve Smith's area, from other countries, it was something that reminded them of home. And so my uncle called Jim Kavanaugh and said, hey, we kind of have this idea. Are you up for taking another run at bringing this professional soccer team to St. Louis? And of course, very enthusiastically, he was. So, it happened. It feels like a lifetime ago, but 2 years ago, off to New York we went to pitch the MLS on why they really need to consider St. Louis. We made the public announcement in October of 2018, had the commissioner in for a lunch. Many people on the phone were there. And then we went to the All-Star game last July, where we were told officially that we did indeed receive the 28th team. And then that wonderful day in August when we could finally announce to the region that we won, and we did get that 28th franchise.
Very exciting time for our community, for sure. I'm gonna step for a second because we think we might be able to hear the Lieutenant Governor. He's got like 1 minute. Mike, are you live there?
Kitty, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you've been listening. Anything that you want to share before you have to dash off?
I just want to say quickly, I'm sorry I'm late. We are in a budget meeting on tourism, and so we're working on those budget decisions now. It's great to see so many friends on this webinar, many people I've worked with over the last several years. And I just got to tell Mr. DeWitt that the only other season ticket I'll have in the state of Missouri will be, I want to be the first season ticket holder for Carolyn for the soccer league. So I can't wait till that project gets going. And I appreciate so much the investment the DeWitt family has made in the downtown area and the Ballpark Village specifically. Carolyn, your ownership group has been saintly in putting up with the crazy stuff that we've put you through at the state, but we're going to get that figured out, and we're looking forward to your project coming up and out of the ground. I know it is an incredible, difficult time for the industry and for the region, but I want you guys to know, and I don't say this on every web call that I get on, and I do a lot of these like you do. I'm a born and raised St. Louisan. You know, I bought a brick outside of the New Busch Stadium, but it was before I took a Sharpie marker with my kids and signed the wall of the old Busch Stadium before it came down, which they were thoroughly embarrassed about. And so my heart is definitely with you guys. This is where I come from. I'm never going to forget my roots. And I just so much appreciate everybody hanging in some incredible challenging times. I know the O'Laughlins are on the call, the investment they've made, that whole corridor in St. Louis, from the arch all the way down to the new stadium site now is just exciting as heck. And we will get through this. It seems like the days are dark and we can't get the sun to come up some days, but we will get through this, and we're going to work together to get through it. And things are going to be back on track, and folks enjoying that downtown corridor, spending money. Kitty was right. I heard in the call that we are Missouri, our sweet spot is that staycation. It is, as Mr. DeWitt was saying, it is that magnet for the communities, 250 miles outside of the St. Louis area to come and spend a long day or a long weekend. And there's just so many things to do now in the downtown area as well as the region. So I look forward in helping you promote that. I am not going to stop talking about the assets we have in the state, especially the ones on the east side of the state. And I look forward to trying to be the best voice and salesman I can for the region to help us get through these tough times. And once we get back going again, to continue to promote the investments we have in that area. It's just, I can't tell you how proud I am of that community. And I'm like a kid that's looking at a bunch of stars in my eyes right now, because never in my life did I think coming from North St. Louis, I'd end up on a web call with some of the people that are on this call. But I won't forget where I came from, and I just so much appreciate your investment in St. Louis.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant Governor. As you heard me say before, we truly appreciate the fact that you are a champion for tourism. You've just, overall, you have just also reinforced the fact that you are a champion for our region specifically, and you demonstrate that every step of the way. And particularly during this crisis when we need you the most, you have been there every day. So thank you so much for everything that you've done. Thank you for taking some time this morning to join us when you have a lot going on in Jefferson City. We'll let you get back to it.
I'm sorry I got to run off the session. I appreciate you so much. Let me say a few words. I look forward to visiting with each of you personally. Kitty, you're a rock star, and we're glad to have you on our tourism task force committee that's especially trying to figure out how to get some things going again in our state. And I want everybody on this call to know that Kitty has done just a fantastic job and passionate pleas for different things that we've worked on, both in good economies and bad. I've known her for several years now, and I look forward to continuing to work with her. So everybody on the call, have a great day. Hang in there. Missouri's a show me state. We will show the world how to get through this.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. He is a rock star for us. It's very, very kind of him to say everything that he did, but he really is in the trenches for us, and we're very, very lucky that we've got a champion for us for tourism. Carolyn, thank you for allowing us to interrupt your question. Sure. But I've got more for you if you've got a few more minutes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm really wondering, as you develop this, the plan that you have launched so far and the plans that you have going forward for the team, are there other teams or other cities specifically that you really hold as a model that you're looking to model this team and this initiative for to make it a success?
Yeah, I mean, when we started this, I guess I should say we're still in the process. We've actually traveled to quite a few cities, done some tours, both with a game going on and with a match, I should say, and without a match. And so I think what we're doing is we're learning a lot of what to do and also some of what not to do. So if you look at LAFC, for instance, they have an amazing supporter program. And so we would love to be able to learn tips, what did you do well? What could you have improved on? But, then you go to Sporting KC and they have just an amazing fan experience with their micro neighborhoods and just the amount of experiences they have to offer. Portland, Oregon is another one. I mean, just crazy rabid fans and how they have integrated them into their philosophy and just the DNA of who they are is impressive. So it's really being able to take bits and pieces of every single one of these clubs that we've visited. But I think at the end of the day, St. Louis still really wants to be unique. And I think we want to show that we're a very tenacious, a very progressive, and a very optimistic club, which I believe is a very good representation of this entire region.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. This is a really exciting project and an exciting time for the community. And I'm looking at the slide that has Lori and Becky, who people on the call probably recognize. But there's also that wonderful shot of Harry Kehoe there. And Harry and his son Ty, who lived on the legacy, that goes back to that 1950 club, and the spirit in our community really ties in so well with the spirit of travel theme for National Travel and Tourism Week. That this and making this and everything that you talked about in terms of these other cities and teams that you're looking to model, it's really focused on the local community and building that fan base and telling that story right. But this team also does elevate St. Louis on somewhat of a national or even an international scale, since soccer is an international sport and bigger outside the U.S. than inside the U.S. How do you think this will elevate St. Louis in that arena, so to speak?
Well, I mean, I've said it from day one. I've always thought that St. Louis is a 3 professional sports town. And so to be able to have the experience and to actually, win and be awarded that 3rd professional team is huge. But I think it's bigger than that. We have a stadium that's going to have a district with programming for non-game days as well, festivals, great ways to really show all the amazing things that this community has to offer. I think that this ownership group believes in having, not only a great product on the field, but also a great player in this community as well. And so going kind of back to that, just how unique our club is, I think we'll have a lot of attention. And I think kind of based on everything else we've been talking about, a world-class zoo, the aquarium, the Cardinals, so many things that are recognized internationally, and to be able to kind of now be part of this amazing group, I think is just, it's an incredible opportunity. I think people see the arch and start to really dig into how wonderful, how affordable, but also how cutting edge St. Louis can be when it comes to things like food and beverage and experience. And I could go on and on and on, but I think just being able to be a part of such a fantastic group that offers such a diverse, unique array of experiences is exactly what we needed to make sure that we elevated this team to an international level.
Well, and I think that Bob O'Loughlin is very happy about the location of that stadium. immediately west of Union Station. And I'm guessing that Steve Smith is equally happy about the location because it provides a bridge and a connector to the City Foundry. And I'd like to turn to Steve now, who's been patiently waiting to talk in more detail about this very exciting project. You know, the City Foundry really has been, it has been named as one of the most anticipated openings and attractions in St. Louis. What can you tell us about what makes it so unique to St. Louis?
Well, thank you, Kitty, and thank you, everyone. Yeah, this is a great time to be developing in St. Louis. So, there's really two things I think about that make this unique. The first is St. Louis was a great manufacturing city. That's what we grew up as. Now we're becoming a knowledge economy. And City Foundry was a great manufacturing facility that was operating until 2007. And in the building are all the original cranes and the kilns, and there's these giant hoppers, these concrete vaults, and we left all that stuff. And so, and then when we started construction, we discovered 2 tunnels that are underneath the foundry that we didn't even know existed. And so all that's going to be recreated and will be in the food hall at City Foundry. And so the experience of visiting it, we think, is going to be like none other. You'll be able to discover basically the history of what this building used to be and enjoy what this building will be in the future as an innovation center. So that's the first thing that I think really makes it unique. The second thing is we've really focused on providing tenants that are unique to St. Louis, the St. Louis region. So with the exception of our grocery store, which we have a grocery store going in, with the exception of them, every tenant we have, this is the only location in the St. Louis region where you'll be able to go and see them. And that's our restaurants, our entertainment companies, our retailers. The only location in the region will be here. And so that makes it unique for visitors coming to St. Louis and coming to a soccer game or baseball game or the zoo or the aquarium, but also people in the region. There'll be a reason to come here. So we're really excited and it's been fun kind of creating and rebirthing really this old vintage building.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that you gave our senior team a tour, several months ago, and it was really exciting to see all of that, particularly for a building that we'd all driven by for decades and never been inside. And what you've been able to do to transform it is really amazing. It's exciting to hear that those are all unique places in St. Louis. And so how many exactly do you have? How many stores and restaurants do you have for the property?
So not including our office tenants, we have 23 right now. And that crosses the gamut of restaurants, where we have both sit-down restaurants, and then we have our food hall. And the food hall right now has a dozen different food concepts. So you can get poke to hamburger to chicken to shawarma. So all different kind of concepts in the food hall. Really, it'll be St. Louis's first real food hall in that sense. And then we have Punchbowl Social, which is the city version of what Bob has done so well out at Westport with Westport Social. We have a Alamo Drafthouse Theater, which is very unique in the sense that they think of it as a 1,000-seat restaurant where you can watch movies while you eat. With a full menu in the theater itself. So those are some of the really interesting types of tenants that we're going to have here. And as I said earlier, not only are they unique to St. Louis, but our restaurateurs, and especially the food hall, are all St. Louis chefs. So when you come to City Foundry and the food hall at City Foundry, what we're really putting on display here is the culinary talent that the city has. And you kind of featured that earlier in this session here about the talent that St. Louis has around the culinary scene. And so we've been able to attract in the food hall some of St. Louis's best chefs and food innovators. And so I think a variety of different things that you can come to see here. We believe it's complementary to what Ballpark Village is doing and what's happening at Union Station with everything Bob is doing. And so really the triumvirate of places for visitors to go and see will be complementary, different, but all unique to St. Louis.
So some of the COVID-19 impacts have caused a bit of a delay in the opening. When do you anticipate? Do you have a scheduled date that you're working on right now for opening?
So we've never imagined City Foundry opening completely at one time. We always imagined that we'd open in stages, kind of like, again, what Bob and Bill have done so successfully. We want to let our tenants have their individual days in the sun, if you will. So we actually will have our first office tenants moving in. Our first tenant's supposed to move in next week, actually, office tenant. But from the public standpoint, we will open our food hall. Then we will separately opening our Alamo Drafthouse Theater. We will separately open our Fassler Hall beer garden. We'll separately open our grocery store. We'll separately open our Punch Bowl Social, and we'll separately open some of our other tenants. In general terms, the food and restaurants, right now we're anticipating opening throughout the second half of this year. Again, we've put no dates on that because it's still so uncertain in terms of what's going on in terms of having a safe environment that is both safe and that the public will be comfortable coming to. And then our entertainment tenants will probably open early next year. But again, to reiterate, each individual tenant will probably have its own opening so that we can continuously be having new things happening at City Foundry.
Well, that is really exciting because it's always fun to be able to share new things. But I think it's a great idea to be able to give each one of them the opportunity to be the star for a short while before the next one opens. And hopefully that means we'll get invited to lots and lots of opening parties.
You will.
Which I think we all have a pent-up demand for parties right now. You know, I was really interested that you did the drive-through restaurant rally. Can you talk to us about that event? And you know, is that something that you'll be doing again?
Well, first of all, you know, we're so close to the St. Louis restaurant community, which, as we said earlier, really is thriving or was thriving prior to COVID. And we have several of them coming into our food hall, and we have others coming into restaurants at City Foundry. And so when COVID hit, and as we know, really devastated the several industries, but certainly the local restaurant community, which are all small businesses. These are small entrepreneurs. They don't have a lot of depth and resources. And the employees of the local restaurants obviously have been really, really impacted. And so, as you may know, the Gateway Resilience Fund was created a couple of months ago to try and raise money that would help these local restaurateurs and their employees. And so we got approached, I don't know, it was like 3 weeks ago. They had one at Forest Park, at the boathouse at Forest Park. They've had others in the region. And we said, well, we would be willing to open up City Foundry for the first time to the public and let them drive into the site. And we could raise money for the Gateway Resilience Fund. And we also added the Little Bit Foundation as well. And it was a wild success. It was a beautiful day, much like we have today. We served 2,000 free meals. The line extended over a mile down Vanaventer past Shoto. People waited in line over an hour and a half, which I'm amazed that the patience was there for that. But there's not much else going on right now to do. And it was just great. I was there the whole time. People pulled up. They made a donation. They got a free meal. But there was families, kids, pets, and everyone was in a great mood. And I think they very much enjoyed being able to drive into the City Foundry site and getting just a peek of what we're going to be opening in the second half of this year. It was fun.
Well, fun and a wonderful initiative for those in the hospitality industry that have had their employment interrupted. So thank you for doing that. Really was a great turnout. You know, I guess the last thing to you is that Lawrence Group, while City Foundry is your big project now, and it sounds like you're going to be opening for a long time with all of the 23 different venues that you have in there, you've also done a lot of other really fantastic development projects in St. Louis that are a part of the tourism space, from the Moto Museum to the On God Arts Hotel to the Hotel Ignacio and now City Foundry. So you're not just a developer, you're really a developer in the tourism space in St. Louis. Is there anything else on the horizon that you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, so I'm trying to keep up with Bob and Bill who keep on doing great things as well. And so I think, you know, trying to do things that are special and unique to St. Louis is really what we try and focus on and we'll continue to do. So a couple of things we have in our pipeline, you know, we're trying to do a concert venue in the Grand Center District called the Sovereign. We were ready actually to start construction right when COVID hit, about a 1,200 seat venue for independent artists and music in our entertainment district. So we were going to do that. We have our future phase City Foundry already on the drawing boards. Like Bob and Bill, we're planning additional office space and residential space at City Foundry because the vibrancy of that area is enhanced by having people living there and working there as well. And so that's coming along. And then I will mention at City Foundry, we have an arts program that has not been talked about yet that I'm really excited about. A couple of things, I'll just give you some teasers here. We believe we're going to have the world's largest drinking fountain at City Foundry. It's about 24 feet long, weighs 3 tons, and hopefully be installed in the next month or so. And then we have another sculpture that sits at the center of City Foundry. That's about a 30-ton sculpture. I'm going to call it sculpture. I'm using that word loosely. It'll be as unique as City Foundry is. And then we're engaging the local arts community in a mural program and a graffiti program at City Foundry. So those I think will be very special, very unique, but will all be done by St. Louis creatives. And so those are things that we have coming down the pipeline right now.
Well, that latter is really exciting. I mean, it's all very exciting, but we have such a wonderful arts community. And so to actually create a program for them to participate in what you're doing at City Foundry, I think is amazing. And from both the mural side as well as graffiti. So, is somebody actually going to police what that graffiti is, or is it, whatever it is, it is?
Some of the original graffiti is still there, and we're going to add to it in a control way. So we'll see. You'll see.
It's a great idea. Great idea. So we've only got a few minutes left. So I just want to kind of open this up to everyone, and anybody would like to chime in, because in this program we've covered a lot of really great developments that are in our area, that have just opened, that are coming to the area. And I'm wondering if any of you would be willing to share what you think makes St. Louis such a fertile area for new development and new opportunities. Anyone?
Well, there's a density of free or inexpensive attractions that is almost unrivaled in the nation, and that's pretty special.
I think in St. Louis's culture, we have the STL Made movement. We have a culture and a history of being innovators and entrepreneurs, and I think that's why it's multi-generational. It's been here for generations. Many of the people on the screen here have lived here for many generations, their families, and I think that's what makes this a fertile ground, because of that underlying innovation and entrepreneurial spirit that exists in St. Louis.
I would add that I think that the architectural heritage of St. Louis is remarkable. We have an interesting and eclectic mix of old and new. And I think developers look at that and say, I'd love to be a part of that and fit into that unique sort of architectural landscape.
Kitty, I'd like to add that I think because of this virus that's going around right now, I think the travel industry, tourism, conventions have been taken for granted. I think once the civic leaders have seen the lack of taxation coming in, which was due to all of the travel industry, the sports, conventions, and tourism, we will be more appreciated and hopefully work together with everyone to foster our industry and create, as we all know, 85% of all of the jobs in the US are by small businesses, and 75% of our whole economy is us doing business with each other. And I think our industry will be appreciated even more.
Carolyn or Geneya?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the people of the community. I have friends that come in and visit, and they're like, St. Louis they're so nice, and I think that we are a very warm and welcoming community, and I think we embrace our uniqueness and actually highlight it, and we're proud of it. And so I think the pride that everybody has for this region is very attractive to businesses, to families. I could go on and on and on, and it makes me very proud to be part of such an amazing community.
Geneya?
And I would just add, as being new to the area myself, having relocated here in the summer, just to echo Carolyn said, I mean, the community here is just incredible. The friendliness, the warmth, the energy, you know, you can really see something special happening downtown between all of the new developments everyone's been speaking about, the hospitality community, the food and beverage community. You know, there really is something special here, and we're extremely thrilled to be a part of it, both personally and professionally, and really looking forward to seeing things, you know, start to come back, the energy start to come back, the people start to come back, and really get to enjoy all this wonderful creative atmospheres being created here.
Well, you're all spot on. And, you know, we hear this from visitors that we do surveys for both leisure and meetings and conventions. And they say that. They say that St. Louis is a very friendly place. They're pleasantly surprised by how wonderfully warm everyone is to them and how kind. And that's why we're so successful, I think, in getting repeat business, whether that's citywide convention business that comes back year after year because of the experience that the attendees have, or the individual leisure traveler that's coming from within that several 100-mile radius that we talked about earlier, that come here regularly because they can have a great experience and people treat them well when they come and appreciate them for what they're doing in terms of the contributions to our economy. We've only got a couple of minutes left. I had some other questions, but we're gonna have to pass on those. I do want to say a couple of things before I thank the panelists. There's something that you all can do today, and today is Give St. Louis Day. And many of you who are actually on the call here represent nonprofits, museums, or cultural attractions that are part of Give St. Louis Day. Many of the panelists are affiliated in some way with somebody who is possibly a participant in Give St. Louis Day. And then there's also, and Steve talked about this, and when he talked about the restaurant rally, there's the Gateway Resilience Fund. And the Gateway Resilience Fund is a program that has contributed more than $1 million in small grants to individuals who have been in the travel and tourism industry and in small businesses who have been left out because of COVID-19. And so I urge any of you who have a few dollars in your pocket today to go to the Community Foundation's website and go to Give St. Louis. Give to your favorite cultural attraction or nonprofit. Give to the Gateway Resilience Fund to keep our folks going so that when travel and tourism begins again, we'll have people who are still here with us and able to restart our economy. We have been working with some working groups. I mentioned those earlier when I talked to Bob about the protocols. We've had working groups working on restaurants, hotels, venues, which is both visitor attractions and event venues, things like America's Center and wedding venues and sports arenas, retail and transportation. And those working groups have been developing some protocols. The restaurant and hotel protocols have been shared with the health community, both the city public health and the county public health, as well as the pandemic task force to get their blessing. And those have been shared with both the mayor and the county executive for guidelines for protocols for reopening. And we anticipate having the other three working groups having those similar protocols delivered to the healthcare community in the next couple of days. It's very important that we all get ready to reopen. The spirit of travel in St. Louis is strong. The spirit of travel in our region and our community is strong. And it's also strong nationally and internationally, and we need to be ready for that. I want to thank all of our panelists who have joined us today, who've shared information with all of us today, who've been so patient to sit on this call for the last couple of hours. We want to let them get back to everything that they're doing and let all of you get back to your days. Happy National Travel and Tourism Week, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in person very soon. Have a great day.
Thanks, Kitty.
Thank you.
Thank you.